And today, we are, of course, remembering that tragedy that struck our country in the morning hours of September 11th, 2001. This is a look at the observance ceremony in Arlington, Virginia today. The military pausing to remember the lives lost 23 years ago in the terrorist attacks. Al-Qaeda terrorists crashed 4 planes into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field in southwest Pennsylvania. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin shared a few words at the ceremony.
We have repaired the damage to this building, but we cannot repair the damage to your hearts. No words can take away your grief. No amount of time can make sense of the worst terrorist attack in American history.
Please join me in a moment of silence.
That attack killed 2,977 people from 90 nations.
And this is a look at the annual ceremony held this morning at Ground Zero in New York City. During today's ceremony, there were moments of silence followed by the reading of the names of the deceased.
And here at home, the FBI Cleveland Citizens Academy Alumni Association hosted a Flags for Honor ceremony at Edgewater Park. It was all to honor the men and women that were killed at the World Trade Center towers, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Those at the ceremony also paid tribute to thousands of soldiers that were killed in operations in the Middle East. The display of flags will remain on display at Edgewater Park through the 15th.
A personal observation now. I was living in New York City and working at CBS News on September 11th, 2001. So this is always a tough day for me. After spending 2 days in the studio, Ground Zero and beyond, I was sent to a building in Lower Manhattan that was dubbed that day and for the weeks to come, the saddest place in New York City.
It's been a very busy day here at the Manhattan Armory behind me. The mission here is for folks who have relatives who work at the World Trade Center who they haven't spoken to or seen since the disaster of 2 days ago to come here and file a missing persons report. Police want to match some of the names with some faces of folks who are being treated perhaps in area hospitals but who have yet to be identified. For many who came here today, it was yet another unreal, frustrating day. They began lining up early, armed with pictures, medical records, and lots of hope.
We're not going to give up. We know she's on the list, so
I see somebody that looks like her.
We're keeping our faith. And Jennifer loves you. We're all waiting for you.
After standing in line for hours, they were interviewed in private by New York police detectives and counselors. Many left photos of their loved ones on telephone poles and mailboxes, hoping someone would see them and call.
Last night, I couldn't sleep. I had to go break in his apartment and get the phone number, call all his family from here to Africa, and everybody been calling me all night last night.
If anyone has any idea if they've seen him or knows where he is, to call us. He's got 2 little babies. 2 little babies.
And there would be more agony. Once inside, friends and family were shown by city officials a list of some 2,000 names of those either in area hospitals or seen at some point by doctors.
If you haven't seen your family member on that list, it could still mean they don't know where he is.
Julia Borashevsky's brother was not on the list. She says the past 48 hours have been unbearable.
This is it's just been so unbelievable. It's like surreal. It's not happening. It's just the worst nightmare in hell. We don't know like what day it is or where we are. The words can't just describe it. Words cannot describe it.
Former President Bill Clinton came by the Armory tonight, to meet with families and lend his support. By the end of the day, New York City police will have processed more than 4,000 missing persons reports. And for those who have not been here yet, the Armory reopens tomorrow at 8 a.m.
And what I remember is most of those people you saw there and many others never saw their family members again after coming in there with those pictures. But just, the sadness of that day and the folks coming down there is something I'll never forget.
In the time that we have, known each other, we've talked about this a few times. I don't think I've ever asked you, did you know anyone who was lost in the towers? It's
one of those things where people in New York City and probably beyond knew people who were almost there that day. Mm-hmm. And I knew 4 people who were almost there.
Wow.
I think, including my cousin, who I believe worked at the Merrill Lynch at the time. There was a chef at the restaurant there who had a dental appointment that day. Oh. Otherwise, he would have been there. I had friends who had relatives who passed away there. Someone who was a paraplegic working on, I believe, the 103rd floor of Tower 1 when the planes hit, and of course he could not leave. So he died, and knew a lot of people who knew a lot of people, but oh my gosh, it's something that obviously continues to touch us all 23 years later. And I encourage everybody to just take a moment today and think about the horror of that day and the gravity of what happened on United States soil, and how lucky we are to live in a place like this. We really are.